Hi, my name's Bob Shepherd. I'm the author of The Infidel. It's a fiction story set in Afghanistan in the present day. What instigated that, quite frankly, is I've been a security advisor working in Afghanistan since early 2004. And since last year, which is almost 6 years in Afghanistan, I've seen the place for what it is. I've been able to travel around. During my time in Afghanistan, I've never gone anywhere without a camera. I enjoy taking photographs. I think it's immensely satisfying, and it's a pastime of mine. What I'd like to do, and I know that as I've been talking, you've been able to see some pictures. All these photographs have been taken by myself over the 6 years I've been in Afghanistan, and I know normally that reading fiction stories, they're not backed up by pictures, and the whole scenario is in the mind of the reader, if you like. But here's the ability to see some key photographs that inspired some of the people in the story. This picture here is one that I took. Basically, there's a reflection of a building, and behind the window is an AK-47. To me, the AK-47 is the Nike stripe of Afghanistan. It's the weapon of choice. It's the weapon that the Taliban are using against NATO forces right now. And it's the weapon that they've used in the last 30 years of fighting. The Afghan people themselves, male, female, young and old, are extremely photogenic. I've never seen faces like these people in my life. They say that Afghanistan is the crossroads of cultures, and you've got the sort of Chinese-looking people, you've got the Persian-looking people from the sort of west side of Afghanistan, if you like. Most of the scenes that we've seen over the years, or the recent years on Afghanistan, sadly, is the fighting. Here in Britain, the British soldiers down in Helmand, and the contacts that they have with the Taliban. However, Afghanistan is full of vibrant people. They don't have very much. They're terrific improvisers. But here's a series of photographs showing just everyday peaceful scenes in Afghanistan, some in Kabul, some in other provinces. We've got street scenes from the centre of Kabul showing the old town with cars going along the road and a lovely mosque in the background. We've got scenes in the market, people buying basic supplies to feed their families. There's a scene of a bread shop, and the staple diet in Afghanistan are these large, flat loaves of bread and green tea. And wherever you go, you're always offered bread and green tea from the simplest of people that don't even have a house to live in, but they'll still offer you food. There's a scene here of a family going to a town called Tarin Kaut, which is between Kabul and Kandahar, an extremely dangerous province right now. And they're off to town to get their supplies in a tractor and trailer, with the father driving the tractor and the mother and the children in the back of the trailer. One of the sadder scenes of Afghanistan, and it's not just the streets of Britain that the opium ends up on, it's also the streets of Kabul and around Afghanistan too. And 2 or 3 times I've gone into heroin dens with the media to do a story on heroin on their own streets. So they have a problem, the Russians have a problem, and Europe and Britain has a problem with the growing of the poppies too. One picture in particular is etched on a wall of an old schoolhouse that has been blown up in the war. And I've seen this time and time again around the world in war zones, if you like, where our children in this country, if they're given a piece of paper or the option to draw on a wall, will probably draw footballers or flowers or rainbows. In countries such as Afghanistan and Iraq and the West Bank and Gaza, the children that grow up in war only know war, and if they're given the option of a crayon and something to scribble on, they'll invariably do pictures of war. And this picture is quite touching for anybody that has children of their own. One of the trademarks of Afghanistan is kite flyers, and here's a picture of a kite seller on a piece of open ground in the centre of Kabul. Here's a couple of pictures of a girls' school to the south of Kabul, which was under threat at the time. The Taliban were threatening the children who were going to school, and whether it's open today or not, I really don't know. But it was good to see the children in the school. I got a chance to speak to some of them, and their English was better than mine, being Scottish. They were impeccable, and they had such a thirst for learning. And it's such a shame for all the other girls of Afghanistan. They don't have the benefit to go to a school like this one. Here's a series of photographs that basically have been taken over the 6 years that I've been in Afghanistan. And these photographs fed the story for what is now the Infidel. And as you can see in some of the pictures, the terrain is pretty immense. You imagine that they actually walked this, and it was only the latter part that they did a little trip on motorbike. When you look, you can see narrow bridges that they had to cross over fast-flowing rivers. There are caves that John and Dusty would have spent the odd night in. Very, very deep ravines that you could lose a battalion of men in. So it was very easy for John and Dusty to lie up when they needed to either rest and recuperate before their next move. Also, there's a lovely picture of 3 Coochie boys looking pretty cheeky, and the little lad on the right-hand side is what we based Rafar on, and Rafar is a key character in the Infidel. Well, now that you've seen some of the images of Afghanistan, perhaps when you read the book you can have these images in your mind, and I hope that you enjoy the Infidel. It's out now in hardback, and once you've read it, I hope you take away your own impression of the real Afghanistan.